Badlands, explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily.
It really feels like the cat with the laser pointer. It's like you've led the cat up to the top of the building, and now you're leading it over the edge.
President Trump is rebalancing trade around the world and making things more fair for the American people.
I think that anytime the deep state can like overcapitalize in whatever situation they have, they're going to.
But the rest of it is a very well organized and well funded color revolution operation of the type they run all over the world again and again and again to destabilize entire society.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily. Today's Thursday, joined by my brother from another mother of another color, Alpha. How you doing, brother?
Bright and early, baby. I'm happy.
Yeah, actually, I texted him this morning like, hey, could you show up just a little bit early today? I want to bounce something off you. And he did it. He did it. Good man. Good man. Although I do have to issue a fact check here. Alpha was spreading mis and disinformation on Monday's episode of Y Chromes when he announced that he was 3-0. In reality, he's 2-1 in our fantasy football league after Lamar Jackson smacked that ass on Monday Night Football. So just wanted to throw that out there. Other than that, how you doing?
First of all, when I reported that information, I was 3-0.
No, you weren't.
I was 3-0 at the time.
You were like 2.5-0 because you weren't predicted to win. You just happened to be in the lead.
I hope Lamar Jackson tears his ACL this weekend.
How could you ever say that about another human being? That is so shameful. You need to be canceled.
Because he caused me a loss. It's easy.
You wish a heinous potentially career-ending injury for a guy that's dependent on his legs. That is a new low, Alpha. That is a new low, brother.
It's football.
All right, guys, we're not going to talk about football all show. Let's get into our sponsors. Got a lot to cover today, some leftover stories from yesterday. But before we do that, you know those nights when you just can't sleep and the next day you're dragging, you're exhausted, and everything just feels harder? That is where CBD from CBDistillery can make the difference. It's not just sleep. CBD has solutions that work with your body to help with stress, pain after exercise, and even your mood and focus. And it's all made with the highest quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. Imagine waking up rested or enjoying your day without those nagging aches and pains. That's the real win with CBDistillery solutions. And that's why over 2 million people trust CBDistillery. I talk all the time about the products I take, the tinctures. My pets take the tinctures. I take the gummies every once in a while. They're absolutely amazing. So if you're ready for better sleep, less stress, and feeling good in your own skin again, try CBD from CBDistillery. And right now you can save 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CBDistillery.com and use promo code Badlands. Again, that's CBDistillery.com, promo code Badlands. CBDistillery.com. Specific product availability depends on individual state regulations. All right, and then let's talk about our friends over at Native Path. Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain or stiffness holding you back? Just make the combination, right? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plump, hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body, found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. Types 1 and 3 provide maximum benefits without the need for unnecessary fillers. Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners, and it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. Its peptide formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed more easily and mixes perfectly without clumping. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals. You can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. Join the private Facebook community to share your success stories, recipes, and support each other on this journey called life. Visit getnativepath.com/badlands and start your transformation today. Again, that's getnativepath/badlands. 2 excellent sponsors right there if you guys are concerned about your health, which I know I am every single day, and I would much rather prefer the natural solutions to the chemical concoctions made in a lab that hates us.
Agree with you completely on that one.
Well, it's at least you agree with me on something.
That's not true.
Real quick, we did have a Rumble rant from A Cowing, $200. Thank you so much. Said, just want you to know that you deserve more. Well, thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate that. We'll put that towards the Ingersoll Lockwood Fund, although I don't know that we'll get there because it's like $4,000 that we would have to raise for that. So, and I don't want you guys just to rant because you're contributing to that, because like I said, I don't think we're going to get there. If we do, I'll buy the book. But yeah, did you happen to catch that yesterday? Me and Ash?
I did not.
So we were talking about the psyop behind Ingersoll Lockwood's The Tales of Baron Trump and the last president, and whether or not it really was written in 1899 or 1889, whenever it was alleged to have been written, because it only surfaced in 2017 after a Politico article that mentions it. And with everything we're seeing now with the Antifa stuff, I don't know if you've read The Last President, but it is identical to that concept. A populist president comes into office and the anti-fascists, rise up and push back and take the chaos in the streets. And it's not identical yet, but it's moving in the path that story does. And then you pair that with all the anomalies or the coincidence in the Baron Trump story. And it's like, was this something that was written by AI and just pushed on us as if it was an old book from the 1800s that nobody's going to have a copy of? And then somebody found in eBay an original copy. So we're trying to buy that original copy to see if it's legit.
Well, I mean, even the movie Civil War gave us some hat tips.
I mean, the Snake Eyes thing that's out there is pretty interesting. There's a lot of, but I mean,
you know what I'm trying to get my hands on, but I looked it up, and the complete original set is like $800. Is the Illuminati card game.
Oh, geez. How much is the set?
The complete set from the original one, it's like $794 is what I found.
Well, that's not
because
too bad.
That's for cards, bro. But like I said, you have to, because you have to get the complete unopened set to verify that the cards that people claim on a lot of these things are really those cards and not cards that people are just making, saying, hey, this is part of that set.
I see, but you'd also have to validate when that set was made.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like those. You remember like Donruss and Topps, how the boxes came sealed and it has all that information. So there's a few boxes out there that are like that, completely sealed.
My dad has
people. Yeah. Oh yeah.
My dad used to have a ton of baseball cards, and one day when I was a little kid, I snuck into his closet and started going through. Yeah, I started going through and taking all the bubble gum out of them. Because remember, they used to come with gum in them.
Yes.
He was so effing mad at me.
Oh, dude, he should have beat your.
I only got through one box. He has like 30, so that's okay. But
yeah, that's the box that probably had like King Griffey Jr.'s rookie or or something like that in it, man.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into the show. If you have not done so yet, guys, please smash that thumbs up. A little over 2,000 people watching as we get going here. 400 thumbs up, and that's a good ratio, but we can do a lot better. Helps us out tremendously. Let's get into this tweet here. I do have some stories left over from yesterday's show. We went a little bit long with Jason Fick on the YouTube censorship and his battle against the social media censorship regime So we do have some stories we got to get to again. President Trump truthed this out yesterday after reviewing the details of the unserious and ridiculous demands being made by minority radical left Democrats in return for their votes to keep our thriving country open. I've decided no meeting with their congressional leaders could possibly be productive. They're threatening to shut down the government of the United States unless they can have over $1 trillion in new spending to continue free health care for illegal aliens, a monumental cost, force taxpayers to fund transgender surgeries for minors, have dead people on the Medicaid rolls, allow illegal criminal aliens to steal billions of dollars in American taxpayer benefits, and try to force our country to, again, open our borders to criminals and to the world, allow men to play in women's sports, and essentially create transgender operations for everybody. These radical left views and policies is what allowed me to win the presidential election, including all 7 swing states and the popular vote in a historic landslide. There are consequences to losing elections, but based on the letters to me, the Democrats haven't figured out that yet. They are trying to eliminate the popular $50 billion rural and vulnerable hospital fund, which was passed with only Republican votes and proudly signed into law by me. The Democrats in Congress seem to have totally lost their way. They obviously have no idea what it means to put America first or to make America great again. All congressional Democrats want to do is enact radical left policies that nobody voted for: high taxes, open borders, no consequences, or for violent criminals, men and women's sports, taxpayer-funded transgender surgery, and much more. This is a long truth here. Few people voted for what they represent, which would lead to the destruction of America. Instead, people voted for common sense, and that's what the Republicans and your president, Donald J. Trump, still stand for. I look forward to meeting with them if they get serious about the future of our nation. We must keep the government open and legislate like true patriots rather than hold American citizens hostage, knowing that they want our now thriving country closed. I'll be happy to meet with them if they agree to the principles in this letter. They must do their job. Otherwise, it will be another long and brutal slog through their radicalized quicksand. To the leaders of the Democrat Party, the ball is in your court. I look forward to meeting with you when you become realistic about the things our country stands for. Do the right thing. Donald J. Trump. So the saga continues. They're building our hopes up that those of us that want the shutdown, that we're getting there. We're going to get it this time, and then we're going to get rugged, which isn't really the worst rug in the world, but it's still a rug nonetheless, because, we're going to continue to spend at ridiculous rates, no matter who it is in Congress or in the Oval Office. But we'll see what happens this time.
The surface level of Trump's posts are not designed for us. And that's why we get a lot of frustration. The surface level of his posts, those optics are designed for the normie civilian, that sees it's like, that's who it's for. Now, granted, there's comms and other stuff that comes for us, but the expectation that we want that the government's going to shut down ain't going to happen.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. He put out another post yesterday afternoon along the same lines. I'll just pull it up. I won't necessarily get into it, but now it's saying $500 million to help the radical left news outfits. They're adding that to it. They want to leave dead people on Medicaid and Social Security rolls so criminals can continue to be allowed to receive the payments and steal the money. I'm telling you guys, that thing is the voting. That is the voting, the Medicaid and especially the Social Security rolls. That is eligible voters right there. All right. Any comment on that one?
No.
Okay. All right. So this is the story we kind of left off on yesterday. This is from Breitbart. Pregnant liberal women post videos downing Tylenol to own Trump. This is an attack on women. In one video, a woman shows off her pills with the caption, "Here's me pregnant, a pregnant woman taking Tylenol because I believe in science and not someone who has no medical background." And then we had this bizarre video right here where the woman is like taking Tylenol, and she doesn't look like she has a headache. She doesn't look like she has a fever. She doesn't look like she's sick. She's just going to take it to push back at President Trump. In your face, President Trump. Look at me. I'm taking Tylenol. I mean, I think Trump derangement syndrome has now become a more chronic disease than autism, a chronic illness, or whatever you want to call it, a chronic issue than autism itself.
It's a mental health issue. This one actually, I saw this one hurt, bro, because listen, if some retarded liberal wants to hurt themselves because they got TDS. I don't care. But you have an innocent life in there that is on the receiving end of this consequence. And I pray that, you know, there's mercy and, you know, miracles, and that these babies don't suffer the consequences of having a retarded mom.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, could you imagine, Alpha, if you're born with, you know, some mild, you know, form of autism, and in 10 years you just go back and you happen to see that post of your mom? Like, you have the trusted authorities, right? That's what we've been told for so long, the science in HHS and whatnot, saying that Tylenol can cause autism, and your mom, while pregnant with you, goes and, to spite the president, takes Tylenol when she's perfectly fine. And now 10 years later, you're seeing that video knowing that you have some, you know, mental issues there. Man, that would just piss me off. That would radicalize me, man.
Well, and hopefully, you know, by the time that kid's of age to recognize, you know, all that, we see some of these remedies for autism that are also being talked about. You know, science and research has really gone that direction, you know, to help them. But here's the thing that it blows my mind, Brian. If this was Trump's first administration, one, this would still break my heart, but at least I'd be like, what do you expect? But we went through an administration where they did this at the tail end with COVID. And now they're seeing, for those of you that haven't done it, go look up some of the vaccines, and Guillain-Barré syndrome is located as a side effect. Like, all the stuff that they said, he's crazy, these people don't know what they're talking about. And not even Trump, because Trump was quote unquote pro-vaccine, but the movement itself, all the stuff we said, they're listing them as side effects now. So if I'm someone, I'd be like, well, maybe I was wrong then. Maybe I should back off here and at least wait. And you know what? What's some alternatives that I have to Tylenol? You know what? Let me go at least try ibuprofen, you know, and I'll just drink a lot of water for my kidneys, you know. Let me try that. And they just don't. And that's why it's a mental health issue, bro.
Well, that's so ibuprofen is the one that they've always been like avidly against for pregnant women. And they were like, oh, you can take Tylenol. But I mean, I don't even know where that came from. This was Tylenol in 2017. We actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. Thank you for taking the time to voice your concerns today. And, you know, that post now has looks like a little over 118,000 likes on it. But when I first saw it, it was the view on it was down to like 8,000. It's exploded since the announcement was made. But in other words, what I'm saying is when they initially posted that, nobody saw that. You know, and I think my wife went and actually looked at a bottle of Tylenol, and it does say not recommended for pregnant women. So this isn't even new science. I mean, this is, you know, they're just now putting this out there. And, you know, I don't know if that was kind of, you know, their plan behind this, you know, game theorying this is let's put something out there that's been known forever and watch them melt down over it. And then no,
I don't think it's that, because most medication has that for a pregnant, elderly, heart condition. It's one of those CYAs that they put on there. But the doctors historically do recommend, you know, for moms and stuff, like, hey, this is, if you're feeling this way, take a little bit of this or that. So it's something that doctors haven't been opposed to. And so the other thing is linking it, saying, hey, listen, this stuff through this process we're seeing causes autism. That we've never gone there before officially, you know, that's never happened. So yeah,
well, this is the clip I was going to play yesterday and we ran out of time, but this is a woman with a PhD in I think it's molecular biology, but we'll go ahead and play it because she explains all that.
Peace, family. So let's talk about Tylenol. I'm literally out here in the garden, but the timing is what it is. So why is Tylenol associated with autism? First, if you don't know me, my name is Dr. Christina Parks. I have a PhD in cellular and molecular biology from University of Michigan that was done in the Department of Immunology. And I have been studying the childhood schedule and injections for about 10 years hardcore now. So Tylenol is associated with autism because it depletes the body's major antioxidant, glutathione. Glutathione is what mops up inflammation in the body. And when the body is critically depleted of it, it either goes septic or, especially in young or premature infants, they can actually pass away. It can cause things like SIDS. So the maintenance of glutathione is extremely important. And even doing something like mom taking vitamin C as a supplement while she's nursing can be critical in helping mom and the baby to resupply glutathione. So what happens is if your body doesn't have enough glutathione, it gets extremely inflamed, and it just can't handle cellular stress. And the inflamed state of the brain is what is highly associated with neurological disorders such as autism or ADHD. Now, that said, glutathione is extremely depleted when children get injections, when your immune system is hyperactivated. So we know this even in pregnant mothers. If their immune system is hyperactivated, it could be by an injection, or it could just be by a very severe infection, like something like appendicitis, is going to cause a lot of inflammation and deplete glutathione. So it isn't just Tylenol that is going to deplete glutathione. It is any form of acute immune activation, which is going to include all of these injections on the childhood schedule. So make no mistake, this immune activation is going to deplete glutathione. And if you combine an immune activation, like a well child visit, with Tylenol, it is a double whammy, completely depleting that child's glutathione supplies and really making it very likely that the body is not going to be able to fend off brain inflammation. And so we know that many injections are associated with encephalitis. So most of the time the body can, that just means an inflammation of the brain. We know most of the time the body can get ahead of that and use intracellular things like glutathione to reduce inflammation. But if the body doesn't have those stores, that brain inflammation is going to rage on, and it is going to continually deplete the body's system of things like vitamin D, vitamin A, and zinc, and glutathione. And eventually the child's body just can't handle it anymore. And some children may actually pass away. Others are going to develop all kinds of problems, including things like autism. So,
I mean, so it's not just Tylenol, according to this Dr. Parks. It's Tylenol plus the vaccines you're taking there. And so I wonder, if you only do one, like say you take Tylenol during pregnancy, but you don't get vaccinated or immunized, inoculated, whatever you want to call it, jabbed. I wonder if you have that same issue and the vice versa. If you don't take Tylenol, but you do take, or if you do take Tylenol, but you don't get the jabs, I wonder if there's the same, correlation with likeliness to get autism. But fascinating science there that I was not aware of.
It is. So, Dr. Judy Mekovitz, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was, man, it was quite a few years ago because Charlotte wasn't born. It was just Allie. So this had to be around 2022. Yeah, maybe late 2022. And she got real sick. That whooping cough, for those that are, unfamiliar with it. And that's a scary sounding, cough, when you have little ones. It sounds like they're struggling to breathe, especially at night. So I shoot Doc a text, and she goes, absolutely under no circumstances give your daughter Tylenol, no matter what they tell you or anything. Because I said, we're going to go, and she gave me some other remedies to go about, but she said don't. And so of course this led me to kind of probing into that even more. And she absolutely said Tylenol is tied to autism. So the good doctors, like this one here, they've understood this, and they've been trying to tell people, but they've been, given the scarlet letter in the community for saying that. Yeah, who knows? Okay, this, that meme with the iceberg. I feel like we're on that surface side of what big pharma has been doing to us, and the amount of medications and things that we're going to find are just going to be astounding. Like Ozempic. I know a lot of people have taken that, because of the weight loss, that comes with it, because weight loss does come with it. But if people have researched it, there's some twisted twisted consequences to that stuff that people are experiencing, and they report it and it gets censored out.
That's nuts, man. Yeah, that's why I stay away from as much as possible, stay away from the doctors and the pharmaceuticals, because man, they don't have your best intentions in mind. They're trying to create revenue. They're trying to make money.
If you cure a person, you send away your customer. They've never had intentions to cure people, you know, and now I'm starting to consider it. But, you know, over the last 4.5 years now, approaching 5 years, I don't have medical insurance because, you know, I'm self-employed. And I, you know, my thoughts, I refuse to go to the VA because we know what they did. And granted, that culture is changing, which is a big relief for me, you know, because now it's something that's, you know, okay, let's consider this. But I've had to, how can I keep myself from having to go to the hospital and coming up with a $1,000, $10,000, $15,000 bill? And it's taking care of your body. And, you know, that's why we've been on this health gig. And I saw someone in that chat, I didn't get to catch the name, that said, you know, because of a kidney donor in situations, they can only take Tylenol for their pain. And what I would tell people is there are a lot of natural things you can do that target pain and inflammation and things that for your cholesterol, for your high blood pressure. There are a lot of natural remedies and foods that you can take outside of, you know, changing the lifestyle, which is ultimately what and this is not the Maha channel, but, you know, changing, eating healthy, you know, getting sunlight, walking, exercising. But there are natural things that you can take that help with inflammation. And I know because I take those things. So that's why.
So do I.
I don't take that thing. but yes, that is definitely one of them.
Definitely helps with inflammation. Massively helps with inflammation. CBD does the same thing. So CBDistillery.com. And all right. So on that same note right there, I am so excited for this. I'm happy about this. One of my favorite people ever in the Trump administration is back. Dr. Ben Carson is back. USDA announces that he's sworn in as the National Nutrition Advisor at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins announced that Dr. Carson was sworn in as the National Health and Housing Advisor to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Quote, "There's no one more qualified than Dr. Carson to advise on policies that improve Americans' everyday quality of life, from nutrition to healthcare quality to ensuring families have access to safe and stable housing." Quite a broad spectrum of things he's got some responsibility over there. With 6 in 10 Americans living with at least one chronic disease and rural communities facing unique challenges with respect to adequate housing, Dr. Carson's insight and experience is critical. Dr. Carson will be crucial to implementing the rural healthcare investment provisions of the One Big Beautiful Bill and advise on America First policies related to nutrition, health, and housing at the U.S. As the Secretary of HUD in the first Trump admin, Dr. Carson worked to expand opportunity and strengthen communities. He did awesome things with HUD in the first administration. So excited to see him back. Dr. Carson said, quote, "Today, too many Americans are suffering from the effects of poor nutrition. Through common sense policymaking, we have an opportunity to give our most vulnerable families the tools that they need to flourish." Dr. Carson served as the director of pediatric neurosurgery at the Johns Hopkins University Children's Center, a position he assumed at 33 years old, becoming the youngest major division director in the hospital's history. In 1987, he successfully performed the first separation of craniopagus twins conjoined in the back of the head. He also performed the first fully successful separation of type 2 vertical craniopagus twins in 1997 in South Africa. The dude is a legend. He is a badass. And, you know, I admit this, when he was running in 2016, I was backing him. And then when he dropped out, I was fully on board with Donald Trump. But Dr. Carson was my first person that I, you know, was backing it back then.
Well, thank you for jumping on the bandwagon. I like Dr. Carson, but like most of the people in the audience, I'm an original day one Trump supporter. All right, so we're glad you guys jumped on the boat with us. the other thing, and this I think often gets overlooked. I've heard a few people mention this even back then when he was running. And when you look at the accolades that you just read off, you want to talk about some high stress situations. And not only can most people, us veterans, oh, we've been in high stress situations, but can you be in a high stress situation where your hand doesn't even, shake a splinter? Do you have that much self-control? Because that's the level of control under stress this guy had to have. So putting this man in government, I'm absolutely for it. Now, what I will say is he was my number 2 to President Trump. So I do understand the liking for him.
Yeah, I was vice versa. Trump was my number 2 and Carson was my number 1. And to be honest with you, I would have went with either of them just because they were the anti-establishment outside candidates. And that was my biggest selling point on them. And I think given kind of the political climate at the time, I think I was more rallying behind the idea that somebody like Dr. Carson needs to be, kind of a role model for the Black community back then, because, this was in the height of the BLM protest, the Dallas shooting and all that stuff. And, people were exemplifying and holding to a higher standard, like rappers, and that's fine. I mean, they're successful and all that, but like Dr. Carson's somebody that Black youth and inner city youth should look up to and strive to achieve a fraction of what he's achieved. Historic surgeries, and so that's one of the reasons I was on board with him. But Trump was also he was the inflammation that we needed, the inflammatory character that we needed.
If Doc would have won, he would have been officially our first real Black president
and U.S. citizen.
Well, yeah, especially that part. But Obama ain't completely Black. So just saying,
we all know that. We all know that. All right, let's jump into this Antifa story. So we've got,
and real quick before we get too far from it and get into the Antifa, because I want to have this conversation. I was trying to search my bookmarks and through text. I thought it was you that sent it to me. Somebody had sent me. It's a meme, but it's legitimate, that shows the vaccination with Tylenol, like the process of how it leads to autism. It's a real simple meme, and I was going to show it so people can screenshot it. I can't for the life of me find it. I thought you were the one that sent it to me. I figured it was either you, my brother, or Josh. And I just went through all 3 of those conversations, and I can't find it. I'll look again. Maybe I just went too fast.
Yeah, it wasn't me. If you find it, bring it up. But so Antifa, they're not an organization, totally not an organization, but they had a flyer out for a non-organization calling all of their non-organization members to come to Eugene in a non-organized way. Don't wear the same clothing, the same kind of, scheme and all that. Don't do any of that stuff, because we're not actually an organization, but let's all just kind of randomly meet up at the courthouse and protest out there over God knows what. I don't even know what they're protesting over, but this was the scene in Eugene.
Fucking be here with your fucking iPhone.
All right, totally not organized though. As the night went on, things got a little more heated, as they tend to do when the lights go down. All right, so they're out there scooping up these domestic terrorists.
So interesting enough. I don't know if you're familiar with Carlin Boyshenko. Hopefully I said her last name correct, but me and Josh, she came out on Fox talking about she infiltrated Antifa, still infiltrates Antifa. And I'm telling you, her level of knowledge and the workings of these things is just phenomenal. Well, we were able, Josh came in clutch, and we were able to snag an interview with her yesterday. And we did it my channel and his channel. We simulcast it. And all of a sudden I start getting these messages from people throughout the night on, while I'm doing Operation Gladio. They're like, hey, why is the Antifa show not working? And I'm just like, it should be working fine. Like,
did you not see John's explanation? Because the same thing happened with Altered State. Rumble had a problem with storage last night across the spectrum.
well,
So I don't think it was like a targeted thing. But go ahead.
okay. Then that's very relieving, because I was going to say, normally I would write it off to a tech issue, and be like, oh, something on my channel happened. But then I saw, so Josh goes, hey, what happened to the Antifa thing? And I'm just like, hold on. Now, granted, we had the replay, but even when I was trying to do the uploads last night, like, dude, I was actually up till almost 2 a.m. my time trying to get this thing to work. And it actually even had an issue with the Gladio show. But I'm glad that if there is an actual issue on Rumble's end, that's very relieving to me. But I'll let the audience know 2 things. One, I'm going to air it right after this show. If anybody wants to watch it or watch the replay later. 2, she's someone, I know she's not military, but I think it's a conversation that would be phenomenal to have on SitRep, because just over an hour was not enough time to have this conversation with her. But here's I want to go over just one big thing, because you said not an organization, and I know you were being sarcastic in this.
Yes,
but one of the things that she clued us in on is, and I found this, like, I was like, wow. She goes, now granted, me and Josh are looking this at a 40,000, 60,000 foot view on the way the funding comes in, and she's looking at it as, what can I provide receipts for, fact-based, that side. And she says, yes, there's big money that comes in, like what you guys are talking about, through some of these organizations. She goes, but it doesn't make its way to the actual extremists within the organization, like the actual Antifa people. Here's 4 main things that they have. They have member dues.
What?
Yes, bro. And it's paid cash, not with credit cards. Because I was going down the route, because she said she goes, well, that it plays in 2 places. But they do cash. They don't do credit cards. But they have member dues. You can't have member dues if you're not an organization. You have to have it. On top of that, there's voluntary donations that come in, and the donation of stuff. She said that's the least way they make the money. But one of the main ways they make money is through book sales and publishing. And that kind of fed into another question I asked her. I said, well, if it's an anti, organization type of mentality, then they still have to look towards people that are kind of the shot callers in the leadership. And how do you structure that? And this is what she said. Where do I have that one at? Over here is, here you go. It's the organizers, the academics, and the book authors. So when you see the organizers and academics, like the college professors and the teachers, those people, and the authors of these books, those are kind of the people that they look at as the quote unquote leadership, with an emphasis on the actual organizers. And dude, I went into full blown like detective debriefing mode to try to extract all this information out to her. And I say all that because I want to have a conversation with you after the show about something as well involving her. Good stuff. But dude, it is wild. Some of the video clips that she showed us, from because they do a lot of their organizations are done via virtual, and it is, dude, these people want violence, bro. And their vocabulary is a little bit different than ours. Let's
get her on SitRep.
Yeah, for instance, and I'll let you guys wait till you see it, but when they say they're anti-white, they're not necessarily talking about color. There's a concept behind it, and she actually brought the receipts to prove it. Now, you do have some extremists you know, and some of the academics that when they do talk, you know, white, they absolutely are referencing the skin color, but the concept through Antifa, white, is actually a meaning of something else. It's very interesting.
Well, you can't leave us hanging. What is white?
It'll take a long time to explain. So you guys are gonna you'll have to watch it. But here's the main thing, the point that we were trying to extract from her, and we knew what the answer was, and she confirmed it, is Trump labeling them terrorists is not something that's going to scare them to stop them. It's something that's going to embolden them, and it's gonna make attacks escalate, and that's what we wanted the audience to really get to hear.
Yeah. Real quick, Bobina B, I saw this in the chat, says he or she posted that meme to your X account.
Oh, great! If you can drop the link to that, I'll grab it and I'll show it.
She did. There it is. So I should have just done that instead. But hat tip for doing that. This one.
That's the one. Wait. So
from Peter McCullough.
Okay, so that's not the one, but it's essentially that. So if you want to go through it, absolutely. That's I think it's great.
Pathway to regression, vaccination exposure, fever/seizure trigger event, Tylenol given depletes glutathione, weakens defenses, developmental regression, autism.
And I would tell everybody, screenshot that and post the hell out of it.
Wow. Sick, twisted people, man.
The kids, bro.
Sick, twisted
kids. It's just, you know, and man, we could do a whole show just this conversation. I'll just say this last thing. You know, my adult kids are all vaccinated, you know, because that was just the understanding, you know, that that's how you protect them. And thank God, you know, they're all healthy, quasi-normal kids, right? But when my last two little ones, when I actually started to research, because I had time on my hands, and they're purebloods, they've never had anything put in their bodies, nor will they ever have it. But I remember when Allie was born, and you know, me and mom are sitting there in the delivery room, you know, our baby only 3 hours, 4 hours old, and it's this precious life for you. And you know, the nurse comes in, you know, and there's not a shot on nurses, but this is just the facts of what happened. Comes in, you know, for the hepatitis and vitamin K, right? To get those are the first two things that the baby's going to be exposed to. And the vitamin K is a lubricant that they put over the eyes. And then obviously the hepatitis is the injection. And I said, no, we're not going to be doing anything. She's like, oh, okay, but, and I was like, no, you know, we're not. And she's like, yeah, you know, and she starts explaining. And I said, you know, reference the vitamin, no, is the hepatitis or the vitamin K. One of them, I had said, because it's been so long, I said, are you aware of how much aluminum is in it? And she's like, yeah, these, you know, but they're safe. And I said, do you know how much aluminum is in it? Like I was like 2 or 3 times that I asked her, and she kept trying to say it's safe. I said, if you knew how much aluminum is in it, it's not. Because all you have to do is research how much aluminum is dangerous for an adult human being. And the amount that's in this shot for a kid is like 4 to 6 times what's considered dangerous for us as an adult. How's that safe? And there's only two shots there are 2 brands that we use in the United States, and both of them have it. One has a little bit more than the other. And so I say that to say this. So she said, okay, she ended up saying that she respected our wishes. Guess who was the next one to come in? The doctor.
The doctor. Yep.
And let me tell you what the doctor said. And this was a lady that was kind, respectful the entire time, even after this conversation, where you could tell she was a little irritated. This is what she told us. And I'm going to tell you in the stern voice, she said, if you don't give your baby the shot and she starts to bleed, he can bleed out and die. Now, imagine you're a new parent and you have this little life in front of you, and the professional tells you the decision you're making can probably kill your kid if they start bleeding.
That's blackmail. That is
how many parents are going to be scared into the point of, you know what, maybe we didn't think this through. And luckily, you know, I was very confident in the research that I did, that we held to our guns. But I remember thinking, even with all the research that I knew, Brian, it made me scared.
That's emotional blackmail, dude. That is fear mongering at its finest.
And I just kept thinking, there's no way especially a first-time parent or a new parent that's even done just, remedial research to this, they're not going to be able to withstand that kind of pressure.
That is so crazy. And then on top of that, they do all sorts of things to try and coerce you into doing it. You're not going to get this and you're not going to get that. And these people are going to have to talk to you. And then you're going to have to talk to these people. And it's like, I think it might've been BB. Don't quote me on this. That was telling the story. And at one point he's like, look, give me my damn baby. It's not getting vaccinated. It might've been him. It might've been another friend of mine. I can't remember. But either way, they just pressure you so much into doing that. And man, that chart from Peter McCullough, because it makes perfect sense. Because what happens when you get vaccinated? You have a fever. Oh, you're just getting a little bit of exposure to the disease that you got vaccinated from, so your body's going to have a reaction. Just take some Tylenol, you'll be fine. And now looking at that, and it's like, whoa. And they gave you kids Tylenol, so it's definitely safe because it says kids on it. Man, screw these people. But
so some legislation that I've been working on for the last couple of years on this particular is with SIDS, because she mentioned in that video, and as cops we respond to SIDS because it's a death. And any other homicide investigation we do, we look into the prior 72 hours of that person's life. That's just commonplace, but it's all ingrained, and you get very limited training when it comes to SIDS. Because what is SIDS? It's the unexplainable death, sudden infant death.
Yeah.
So you just kind of write it off as it's SIDS. But now hindsight's always 20/20. And so this legislation that I'm working on, and this will aid in the research of all the vaccines, is 2 questions that every cop needs to ask when they go to a child's death. One that's not, related to like a drowning or something like that, like a SIDS style, call for service, is when was last time that they visited the doctor? And then 2, what happened in that visit? And that bring down a checklist of things. And if one of those answers is vaccinations, you put vaccinations. You then obtain a copy of the vaccination card. And then you check what is the last vaccine that they had to the timestamp of when that happened. Because if that kind of data was put into our law enforcement system, anybody, the same way we report all other stats, you could say, okay, we had 10,000 SIDS deaths this month, and in those 10,000, 98% visited the doctor, and in that 98% that visited the doctor, 100% of those received a vaccination. And here are those vaccinations and how they broke down. Now you're talking legitimate data that's very easy to obtain.
Now you're trying to get to the root cause of everything instead of just chalking it off as it's sudden infant death syndrome. We can't explain it. It's just God says we need this little angel, and now they're with God.
Because the reason I want to get this legislation passed is because this is SIDS. So obviously this is something you can't undo, and that's the fucking heartbreaking part of it.
Yeah,
it'll lead to prevention, but what that can ultimately lead to is if you're a parent of a kid that's 18 months old or a toddler that's 2 years old and they're healthy, and all of a sudden they go to the doctor and you experience an episode over the next 3 days, open up an investigation. And now you call law enforcement and say, hey, because like I said, by this time, hopefully there's enough traction and stuff making the headlines. And now you do it then. And now you start investigating what happened to this child. You would do it in a child abuse case. And so if a neighbor was throwing poison into your dog's dish, that's going to get investigated. So if we know that there's an artificial element being put into a kid's body and it's poison, this is a child abuse case. Now, granted, intent and prosecution may not exist because that's going to be absent, hopefully. But at the very minimum, again, you open up data that can lead to research. So, this is just some stuff that I've been working on for a while, bro.
Dude, it's fantastic. The only problem is most of our legislators are bought and paid for by the pharmaceutical industry, and they're very reluctant to do anything on it. So it would take, probably a rule or regulation coming from this particular HHS, but what's to stop the next administration from just coming in and undoing everything that RFK is doing right now and that Trump is doing right now? And that's, kind of the cycle that we're in right now. So unless you are able to somehow, are you doing this at the state?
I'm doing it at the state, but again, I'm California, so
Yeah.
I'm publicly putting this out there. I'm willing to take anybody on as a co-author where you don't have to do anything other than be in a state where the support system will be behind this. And I'm willing to go and testify to my experience and all this stuff in that to help pass it. Because like I said, California is going to shut this shit down the second that I try.
We've got Dr. Latipo here, so as our Surgeon General, and you could have a good chance down here in Florida. We'll talk.
And like I said, I'm willing to do it in multiple states because there's a couple of doctors that, especially some in Texas, that I think would get behind this and support it too.
Yeah. All right. So let's going back to the Antifa thing real quick, and Alpha talking about the funding. I think that was actually a pretty good segue here. I want to play this clip here of Marco Rubio talking about USAID and the funding there, because I thought, he kind of says two things that are really interesting here and kind of allude to what, Alpha, Colonel Towner, myself, what we've been talking about for a while, mainly Colonel Towner and Alpha. But check this out.
We shut down AID because it was a dysfunctional organization. We moved it under the State Department. Number two, we are going to do more foreign aid than any country in the world. We're going to do more than anyone in the world again this year, but we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it holistically. We're going to do it as part of an integrated foreign policy. We are not going to fund an NGO industrial complex that built itself up, that was taking a substantial percentage of the money and not going directly to the recipients. It was going to these organizations that had multi-billion-dollar projects and budgets. We're not going to continue to do it that way. We are going to provide aid. We're providing aid now. We just rolled out our new initiative on health. It's going to be much more successful and much more effective. We're going to enter into direct compacts with the countries. We're going to empower our embassies and our ambassadors to direct which projects we fund and how much money countries are going to be receiving.
Okay, so I want to just pause it right there because I feel like he's missing the point here. So I'm with him in that not giving the money just kind of carte blanche to all of the NGOs and nonprofits and everything else and saying, here, go do God's work with this, right? That's great. That's great. But if that's the case, you can significantly reduce the amount that you're sending over there if you're no longer sending it over there to ultimately launder it back here to the United States, I firmly believe, or to prop up CIA operations, or to, Gladio type operations, to overthrow governments, to run coups, to deliberately not do the things you're supposed to be doing in order to continue to create a situation where you need funding in order to do it. So to me, I mean, look, if they want to try for a year or two, like Rubio's plan here under the State Department, where thankfully there is more transparency than there was under USAID, but still not woefully inadequate still. I guess, whatever, go for it. I guess, I mean, there's nothing we're going to be able to do to change that, but that's not America First policy.
Well, this kind of goes into the G money concept. Mm-hmm. If we feel that we're the world's beacon,
bro.
If we feel that we're the world's beacon and we still gotta help, and send out money, internationally, do it through crypto and create a law that when these countries receive it, that crypto it's not something that they're going to go and then transition into another bank account. It's something that has to make its way all the way to the point of sale. And if they violate that and they don't take it all the way to the point of sale, well, we'll cut the funding. So if they're supposed to buy whatever it is, we need to see that is bought. Now, granted, when that is bought, there's things that they could still do and all that. But at least we know that the money went to the purchase of what it was supposed to purchase.
I'm with you 100% on that. I'm actually more a fan of G's more fundamental idea, the GoFundMe, bro. If you want to feed starving children in some, African country, GoFundMe, bro. I mean, I'll chip in $5. If you got enough people to chip in $5 or whatever, GoFundMe, bro. But to tell the taxpayer, like, hey, you're barely getting by, but we're still going to take, $40, $50, $60 a year from you. And that's just one, instance, and that money is going to go towards feeding starving kids in the Gaza Strip. No, you can screw all the way off. I'm barely paying my bills here, and you're still taxing me $2,000 or $3,000 a year. Screw off. But let's keep moving with this.
We are restructuring the way we do aid. It's going to be far more effective, and it's going to be integrated into our holistic foreign policy.
That's all in the future. But are you standing by that comment? You're saying that no one has
it's happening
died?
now. That's
no
not in the
one,
future.
no
It's
one has
happening
died
now.
because of the aid cuts? Are all those aid organizations
That's
lying?
ridiculous. Well, first of all, then they died because England didn't give enough money, or Canada didn't give more, or China did. Let's blame the other countries that don't do any foreign aid. How about China? I mean, China's the second largest economy in the world. They don't give money to these
So you're no
projects.
longer disputing that the aid
China
cuts have
didn't give
cost
more
people's
money?
lives. You're no longer disputing that.
It didn't. I think anybody who tells you that somehow it's the United States, if we cut $1, somehow we're responsible for some horrific thing that's going on in the world is just not true. Beyond that, I would say that in some of these places
well, if that dollar's not going to feeding someone or medicine, someone's going to die.
One of the reasons why some of these places didn't get the aid is not because we cut the aid. It's because there's a war going on and the aid never got to the people. So in Sudan, for example, it's not just a humanitarian catastrophe, it's a war zone. Okay, the aid is stolen, the aid is impeded. In fact, they use aid as a tool against the people, and so blocking aid as a tool and an arm of war. So in some of these places, the reason why the aid isn't getting there is it can't be distributed. Look at Haiti. One of the reasons why aid can't be distributed in Haiti is you can send all the aid in the world you want. It gets hijacked and stolen by criminal gangs that control the country.
Alpha, why do you think the aid gets stolen as it's being sent to these countries?
Because it was never supposed to go to aid. It's going to go right back into
it's funding the conflict.
100%. And you know, these are just numbers I'm throwing out. 75% is funding the conflict. The other 25% is getting money laundered and kicked right back to the people that allowed it to get passed.
Yep.
You know, what I wish Rubio and others would hit back with these guys on is, you know, let's create a perfect scenario where the aid is going where it's supposed to. Let's just concede and say that that's happening. Hit them with this question. Now there's an American kid that's starving too. Where should that dollar go? A foreign kid, an American kid?
Yep.
Put that shit on them and make them say it publicly. Well, no, answer me. That dollar's got to go somewhere. Should it go to a kid outside this country, or should it go to an American kid? Because if you answer anything other than an American kid, you're not America first. Period. That's in the story. That's it.
I agree. And we've said that since the beginning when the USAID cuts were announced and the abolishment of them, saying the same exact thing. Take all that money and I'm not a fan of welfare at all. I don't think you should be, suckling at the teat of the government for your nourishment and everything else, but it happens. It happens. There are people that just can't make it or whatever. Take care of those Americans first, long before we're sending money anyplace else. 100%, man.
100%. And I'll make a statement to that. I just want to correct the record on something. I want to say thank you to Yuba Swimmer in the chat. Erythromycin is what they put on the baby's eyes. Vitamin K and Hep B are the shots. And that is correct. So thank you for refreshing my memory on that. And like I said, regardless, even that wasn't put on my baby's eyes. So I wanted to make sure I corrected that record. And two, my own story is a personal example of that. If our audience and just normal good Americans didn't come to my Give, Send, Go when I was going through what I was going through with the FBI, my family would have been homeless and we would have starved. And trust me, I have with the assholes that would send me messages that are like, just go get a job like everybody else. And it's like, no job hires me, clown. That's the issue that's here.
Yeah, they've made your name untouchable.
I was my background was popping like a convicted person, even though I was still going through the court process. So I couldn't. And that was by design. And so it wasn't government funding that saved my ass. It was American people that heard my story and non-Americans as well that heard my story and had my back. Absent that, the system would have, let's just say Give, Send, Go didn't exist, because we know GoFundMe wouldn't have worked because they were taking down, J6er accounts and teacher, anybody that tried to crowdfund, they would take them down. Dude, where would I have gotten money from? I would have to turn to a life of crime is what would have happened, Yeah. But yet we're sending money to help people in other countries. This is crazy to me, man. It's frustrating because this one hits home.
It's incredibly frustrating, especially knowing that a lot of that money gets laundered back here. And, through the slow walk, President Trump used the term slog earlier, through the slog of investigations into Act Blue and Win Red. Somebody yelled at me the other day and says, I'd never mentioned Win Red. I think I'm the only writer out there that mentions Win Red whenever I mention Act Blue, every single time, almost every single time. Yeah, but when it all gets laundered back here, you're keeping the fat cats fat, and they don't want you taking away their cookie jar, man.
And not only are they not helping us and helping foreign people, then they're turning around and using the tax money to persecute us, bro. It's crazy. It is crazy.
Let's jump in. I just want to play this clip here. I know Alpha and I are probably going to disagree on this, but somebody had sent me this, and my mind is quickly changing on the Charlie Kirk thing. And we'll talk about it probably a lot more tonight on Sit Rep. But I just want to play this one thing because this is like, just to me, it's like WTF. Why would you do this? Check out this clip. This is the body. What's his channel? The Body Language Survival, the Behavioral Arts.
Well, while you play the clip, check text message.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it. Okay.
So I'm going to play them side by side. I'm going to show you this clip. And on the right, the little box, that's ABC News. And you'll even hear that the audio is synced. And on the left is the one from the news station from Salt Lake City. And look at when that nod hits. On ABC, it's an acknowledgement to the charge. On the Salt Lake City one, it's an acknowledgement to we've concluded.
Because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression, that concludes reading the information. Mr. Robinson.
To clarify, in the beginning, they were both synced, and it seemed like the responses that he was giving were timed well with what was being said. And then at this moment, I realized that the clips were out of sync. So I'm watching one of them, and I'm watching him not react throughout, and only.
All right. So for those that didn't catch that, when the judge, and that's the arraignment, it was live streamed. When the judge says, it's alleged that you targeted Charlie Kirk because of his political expression, you see Robinson give a little nod. In the real arraignment, the actual court footage, the judge says you target him because of expression. That now concludes the information. And that's when he nodded. So I know it seems like something so stupid and so small, and like nobody would probably catch that until somebody does, and then puts that out there and says, look, he gave a body cue that when he says you target him because of his expression. Yep. You know what I'm getting at? I mean,
I do. So this part we don't disagree on. And the reason I agree with you is because they did this to me on the local news out here. When they played the audio, because there was cameras recording it, because it was the J6 stuff. And there's a question where they asked me if I was, do you understand? I don't remember the exact words, but you understand the charges being brought against you. And, I give the yes and I give the nod. And then there was something on the way they worded it. And of course, mainstream or the media picked it up and showed my nod like I was concurring to something that I did that I didn't do. So, and that's why we agree that yes, there's an edit here, but it's also not rare. The media does this all the time because it creates, it's theatrics. It's what he showed this, and then it's going to bring views, it's going to bring shares, it's going to do that. So yes, it's wrong. I don't like it, but it's also not uncommon.
Look, if it was just the image of him, let me go back and pull it up. All right, here it is.
James Robinson intentionally.
So this is how the screen looked, right? This is how the screen looked. It's a Zoom. It's a Zoom call, with 4 different screens on there. They had to deliberately go in and clip out just this one screen down here, keeping the other 3 in sync, and edit the film, copy that little segment, and put it over the top of this with the nod in that specific spot. That is way too much work for something that didn't need to be done.
They do it all the time, though.
Not show me one time when they did something that nuanced.
They go to the OJ trial. And that's back when they didn't have the technology that they have right now. And that's what I'm trying to say is it's wrong. I mean, in essence, it's propaganda. You know, it is wrong, but they do it a lot. We just don't spend the effort to call them out on it or research when it happens. But there are some big cases where the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp one, they did it on. And I think the reason that one got exposed is because there were so many citizen journalists that were watching it, and now people are becoming more aware that this is there. And like I said, I'm on board. It's wrong because you're trying to create a narrative that it's propaganda. It's not. This is not something isolated to just this incident.
So you're saying that there's examples that you're familiar with where you have 4 consecutive screens that are all in live feed, and you have a scenario where they deliberately took one of those screens, edited specifically that screen, which takes a lot of work because you can't just clip the whole video. You have to clip a video, save that video, and then overlay it on top of that one. You're saying there's a scenario that you've seen that's like that? Because that is a tremendous amount of work.
So, you know, I would default to my brother. So my brother was a controller that worked for the news and the media. That's going to get twisted into some conspiracy theory that's out there. And as a matter of fact, he worked with Dan Ball, just to add more to the conspiracy stuff. I actually knew Dan Ball as a local reporter out here. But when you have these different TVs, remember, there's a delay. Even live, there's a delay. And so timestamping, clipping something on screens that we're seeing, it's hard for us because we're doing it through the perspective of the way our studios are set up. But with them, it's literally here's what I'll say. The reason it's not hard, it's very easy for them, is think about when you're watching a football game and you saw a highlight reel, and 20 seconds later you're breaking to a commercial, and poof, that highlight reel is coming right back on something that they clipped and edit. It's very easy when you have a team of people and all the equipment there to do it. It's actually not hard at all. Now, do I remember offhand an incident with 4 screens like that? No. 2 screens, yes. But you know, with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard one, but yeah, I would have to go and search to see if I could find one with 4. But regardless of whether it was 4 screens, 8 screens, it's not hard for them.
I don't know. I think it's a little more difficult than for something so stupid, right? Something so small like that.
Remember, these people, that's what they are. They're Hollywood, bro.
Love that. I can be so naive on subjects. Oh my goodness, I'm naive because the guy's nodding after they're telling him that you targeted him for expression. Yes, I did. That's the body language. That is the psyop.
You got to think. Yeah, have you ever watched like ESPN's behind the scenes when they're doing a live event?
Yeah,
like they got a full blown, and I don't know if the media has necessarily got this many people, but you literally have someone back there that's like, what's the guy that does the symphony? What do you call that guy?
Oh, the conductor.
Conductor. You literally have a conductor like that's present. That's like, clip that because he knows what he's.
I know how that works.
So it's
how that works.
So then it's not hard for these people.
We'll talk more about it on sit rep, but it's more that edit right there is way more complicated than you think.
That part we disagree on. The part that what I think is more important than anything is the fact that this was a deliberate effort to push propaganda.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of highlight reels, let's talk about two of our sponsors here. Guys, hey, football fanatics, you ready for some prime time NFL action? Tune into Westwood One for all the gridiron glory that you crave, from jaw-dropping touchdowns to game-changing plays. Don't miss a moment of the excitement. Catch every snap, every tackle, and every victory on Westwood One. You can listen to the NFL on the NFL app, on Westwood One Sports app, or on westwoodonesports.com via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa, open the Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One. And Alpha's 2-1. So there's that.
You guys, make sure you guys watch the Ravens game this week because you're going to see Lamar Jackson get injured.
Like Brock Purdy. Oh, man. All right. And then
one more week. He should be back.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. I don't wish injuries on anybody ever.
I don't want to go sports, but dude, Mac Jones, bro. He's been a little beast, bro. He's been a little beast.
Yeah, he can throw the long ball, and then that's pretty much it.
He's got a slow
throw anything else.
That I disagree. What it is when he had Kittle in there, you saw the speed deliveries instant. And I think when with the backup tight end, he doesn't have that confidence.
Yeah, that hurts bad. Guys, you know that I love all of my Chefman appliances. We went off on them yesterday. They're so good, talking about all the stuff that we got. Seriously, they've completely upgraded my kitchen without a kitchen remodel, although I do need to remodel my kitchen, but they make it look so much more modern than it actually is. You'll see in November Alpha, I've got an old kitchen. You heard me tell you about the Chefman Pebble Ice Maker. It gives me the perfect chewable ice, the kind you beg for in the drive-thrus. And now I've got it at home every single day. And Chefman has seriously outdone themselves with the Obliterator blender. That thing is absolutely badass. It's not just a blender, it's a kitchen beast. It's a total upgrade from anything that I've had before. It blasts through everything from frozen margaritas to hot soups and sauces. The thing is literally unstoppable, and it's smart. It has the auto blending technology, which means no guesswork. It reads the texture, so you get the perfect consistency every single blend. No more mystery chunks in my smoothie, and it cleans itself. That's my favorite part personally. Well, I mean, I love the nice smoothies, but it cleans itself. You just press self clean and boom, it's done. It's got this sleek, compact, award-winning design, so it looks great on the countertop, and it's every bit as powerful as those fancy blenders, but without the ridiculous price tag. And with my discount, you'll save even more. Visit chefman.com/badlands and use promo code Badlands for 20% off. Again, that's chefman.com/badlands, promo code Badlands.
You know, you still got it up there just to give them a little bit more love. And maybe this is the crayon eating side of the Marine part. I wanted to see how sharp the blades were. Folks, don't touch it. Don't test it with your finger. those things are freaking sharp, bro. It is a quality blender.
You are so special, bro.
I am
so special.
I probably they overly vaccinated me. But it is a quality machine, and those are legit blades. These are not your old weak Macy's blades. These are some legit blades.
All right, let's jump into this story. We had this one pulled up yesterday as well. Peter Strzok, the FBI agent who sent anti-Trump text, loses First Amendment case over his firing. Strzok has lost a long-running lawsuit claiming that he was illegally fired by Donald Trump in his first term after sending text messages that criticized Trump. Strzok argued that his FBI bosses retaliated against him to placate to Trump, who was outraged over the text that Strzok engaged in with his coworker and lover. Judge Amy Berman Jackson, familiar name, said that Strzok's lawyers had failed to show that his dismissal violated his First Amendment rights. Jackson stressed that she was not ruling on whether Strzok's firing, quote, was the appropriate sanction for his conduct, only that the evidence assembled had not proven Strzok's rights were violated. Jackson's full ruling is under seal for now. Jump down here, and it says last year during the Biden administration, the Justice Department agreed to pay Lisa Page, and to $800,000 and to settle her lawsuit, and also to pay Strzok $1.2 million to settle his privacy invasion claims. This was over the text messages that were disseminated, even though the crazy thing is they originated on government phones. Those texts were on government phones, and government phones are subject to freedom of information when they're relevant text messages. So, the ruling here, let me go back to this because I thought this was interesting. So Jackson said she's not ruling on whether Strzok's firing was the appropriate sanction. I don't understand how you could not rule on that it wasn't the appropriate sanction when the guy was literally orchestrating a coup or seditious conspiracy, right? We know the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys got wrapped up for seditious conspiracy, conspiring to overthrow the government, when an FBI supervisory agent, I think he might have just been a special agent, I can't remember off the top of my head, but when an FBI agent and an FBI councilwoman are first off having an extramarital affair, but also conspiring, Trump's not going to win, right? No, Trump's not going to win. And didn't he say something else? it's not the I made effing sure of it. That's the other guy. He said something else. Trump's not going to win, right? Right?
I don't remember specifically. It was something like that.
Oh, I gotta look it up.
And just so you know, I have some breaking news lined up for us too when you got a second.
Yeah, go ahead and do that while I do this.
So I just got this text message in right now from Josh. Hegseth orders rare urgent meeting of U.S. generals and admirals. It's multiple mainstream medias are reporting it within the last 20 minutes. And I'll just read these first two paragraphs. War Secretary Pete Hegseth has reportedly issued a highly unusual order directing hundreds of the U.S. military's generals and admirals to assemble next week at Marine Corps base in Virginia on short notice and without explanation, a move that shocked military leaders. The directive sent earlier this week requires virtually all top commanders worldwide, those holding the rank of brigadier general higher or their Navy equivalent, along with their senior enlisted advisors, to attend the meeting at Marine Corps base Quantico next Tuesday, the Washington Post reported Thursday in an exclusive. Now, I find this very interesting, given the fact that you have Trump right now that's going to be meeting with some of the people from the Arab League. I think we're about to see something pop off in Iran, Israel, or Venezuela. And I think that's what this meeting's surrounding.
Oh boy. I sure hope not.
It's something's gonna pop off, bro.
Man, I sure hope not. Send me that link in the private chat. All right, let's jump into this story. Arizona's fake electors prosecution hits a roadblock. This is coming after the Michigan electors were dismissed, the case against them dismissed in Michigan. It says the case could now head back to a grand jury after a court ruling on Monday blocked an appeal from Attorney General Chris Mays. Back in May, Maricopa County judge ordered that the case be sent back to the grand jury after attorneys representing the fake electors claimed the prosecutors failed to disclose the full text of the Electoral Count Act to members of the grand jury. Mays appealed the lower court's decision, but that was officially denied. So what was that? Just a quick update on that now that case is going back to a grand jury. So they still can come out and indict them, but it's probably not likely after the dismissal in Michigan. Did you have something you wanted to add?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what that sound was. Was that on your end?
Mm-mm.
What the heck?
I think there was a video that was on that page you were reading.
Oh,
so
maybe.
I don't know if that page the audio came through or not, but I heard it.
All right. So, and just real quick, I'm sure everybody's heard this by now, but Ryan Ruth was found guilty on all 5 charges. I think it was all 5 charges. And then as soon as the verdict was being read to him and he was convicted, he tried to stab himself apparently in the neck with a pen. This has been a really weird case. And I don't know if you followed it at all, but it kind of went under the radar. Like nobody was talking about this trial. Nobody's really covering it. Brian Enton with News Nation covered it very loosely. It's really strange. He represented himself. He only called 3 witnesses. One of them backfired completely on him. The judge, throughout the whole trial, everybody that witnessed it said he was a bumbling idiot that had no idea what the hell he was doing. Judge Cannon cut him off in the middle of his closing statements and was like, you're taking this way too far. Just a weird situation, man.
I wish I would have kept tabs on it better. It was so hard. So if you did, I want to bring you on so we could actually have an in-depth conversation with this, because I would like to get up to speed and maybe even see some clips, if any are available, of that. Because like you said, they didn't want it getting attention and it didn't get attention.
Yeah. So Alpha brought up the generals meeting. This was President Trump at the UN meeting 2 days ago.
Any questions?
Mr. President, do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
Mr. President?
Now, a lot of people took that as like an inflammatory, like invoking, inciting violence. He's exactly right. I mean, we would do the same thing. I mean, it's not like the second, this has happened where Russian planes, up around Alaska have wandered into our airspace. And usually, wasn't there during Trump's first term, wasn't there one where it was completely non-responsive and we went guns hot on it and then it decided not to? I think that happened in Trump's first term. It was a Russian bomber, like the equivalent of a B-52.
We came close. Was that during Trump's?
I think it was his first term.
I wish someone in there like Peter would have said, President Trump, if Ukrainian airplanes entered Russian airspace, should Russia be able to shoot them down? Because he would have answered yes.
Yes,
absolutely. Oh, so what you're saying is countries should respect each other's sovereignty. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Russia today had the best response here. Does Trump think NATO should shoot down Russian jets in airspace? Yes, I do. Slight problem. They have to actually enter NATO airspace first. So Russia Today, RT, with the genius response there. Now, this is one that's a little more interesting. President Trump truthed this out on the 23rd, and he says, after getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it's causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the EU, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger, in quotes. When the people living in Moscow and all of the great cities, towns, and districts all throughout Russia find out what is really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through the long lines. Gosh darn it. I got to zoom out. Sorry, guys. To get gasoline through the long lines. And now I lost my spot. I'm just bombing this one, guys. That are being formed through the long lines that are being formed, and all of the other things that are taking place in their war economy, where most of their money is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has great spirit and only getting better. Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. You know what that sounds like? Like, you ever leave a voicemail for somebody and like it's a family member or something, you're like, yeah, you know, so-and-so has been just a real asshole lately, and they're going off and they're doing this thing like where they're doing this and this and this. And anywho, I hope they're okay. Like, that's what that sounds like. It feels like he's just ranting about something, and I thought that was fascinating. Go ahead.
Well, he did drop some gems in there. He gave a timeline, a week, and I think the calm side of it is he's calling for something to happen within a week. But the other thing too is, how do you articulate, if you're mainstream media, that Trump is a Putin puppet when Trump puts out this kind of message? You can't.
Yeah,
you can't do that, and he knows. Trump is making all the moves that he needs to against Israel and Europe through proxy, and he's being an absolute methodical chess genius in the way he's doing it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's made some other comments like NATO or the EU can fund this, right? The EU needs to fund this. Not saying we're going to send them weapons, but then he does go on and say in one point that NATO needs to fund this, and we're going to continue giving our stuff to NATO. And if NATO wants to send it to the Ukraine, then they can. But we're going to continue, doing the thing. Which is really interesting because it's not the U.S. sending it directly. So now he's putting that on NATO to show that NATO is actually the one that wants to prolong this war and not the United States. We're just doing our, what we've promised to do with NATO and giving them weapons and exposing them as the warmongers that are trying to perpetuate this war and just could keep it going forever and ever and ever.
And you're definitely going to expose who the warmongers are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not entirely opposed to this. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I'm just saying that they're they smell blood in the water.
Yeah. I jumped over to Trump's Truth Social because I wanted to just check this out real quick. And there you go. Dan Scavino. I'm pretty sure it's Scavino, right? Proposing. In this moment, I'm holding you so tight. You believe our dreams have become real life. Dance away the night and stand the test
of time. You believe our dreams have become real life.
Is he watching in the? Is he like standing in the window watching?
that would...
Is that somebody standing in the window watching him? Congratulations! That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Congratulations on that.
Congratulations to Dan Scavino. Now make sure you play Thunderstruck at the wedding.
Yeah,
make that your come out music. All right, let's keep moving here. I just saw that and I was like, I gotta play that. So get ready for this big, massive rug that we're gonna get here. Ken Delaney talking about indicting Letitia James and James Comey.
Office is expected to charge Tish James, the New York Attorney General, with mortgage fraud. And of course, Donald Trump, we all saw it posted on Truth Social in recent days, exhorting his Attorney General to charge both of those people as soon as possible. But again, this is, grand juries are secret. This is a fluid situation. It's also important to know, though, that the U.S. attorney, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in this office, Eric Siebert, was essentially forced out last week, in part because he was refusing to bring these cases. We're told that he was opposed to prosecuting both James and Comey on these grounds, and he's out.
All right. So Ken Delaney, who should be trusted as much as pick your worst acronym or your worst analogy, excuse me. And that's how much Ken Delaney should be trusted. He also put out this tweet here that James Comey is expected to be indicted in the coming days in the Eastern District of Virginia, where prosecutors who opposed bringing the case was recently fired. Jump over to the Washington Post. They're reporting the same thing. Virginia federal prosecutors preparing to seek Comey indictment. People familiar with the matter says the indictment against Comey is allegedly for giving false testimony to Congress about his role investigating the efforts to influence the 2016 presidential election. The investigation centers on testimony Comey gave before the Senate committee on September 30th, 2020, about the FBI's missteps in the Crossfire Hurricane probe, which had delved into possible but ultimately unproven collaboration between Russia and Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. And the deadline to seek an indictment against Comey is Tuesday, 5 years to the date of his testimony. I had to highlight that one phrase right there, Alpha, because that phrase pissed me off more than anything I've read from the Washington Post in the last 12 hours. And I haven't read anything else from the Washington Post in 12 hours. It says, which had delved into possible but ultimately unproven collaboration. What the hell kind of writing is that?
They don't want to let it go.
They will not let it go. And I put this out on X when I saw that. How many times have they written no widespread evidence of fraud? The vaccine is safe and effective. Well, there was no widespread evidence of fraud because you didn't look for it. There were no evidentiary hearings. People like J. Alex Halderman, they're often touted as the purveyors of that information. They never investigated it. Nobody investigated it except for, grassroots people and maybe the DOJ behind the scenes. We don't know. But same thing with COVID. Safe and effective based on what? Your years-long data studies, your placebos, your control studies? No, it's based on bullshit. But now when you talk about a hoax that has been thoroughly debunked, it's possible, but ultimately unproven. No, it's not unproven. It's absolutely debunked. But there is some Russian collusion.
Well, they should have reported, in the possible but unproven Ashley Biden diary.
There you go. I mean, it's just so absurd. How they get away with this. And I mean, they don't really get away with it. They're propped up by, by certain industries that continue to advertise to nobody because they're losing readers at the cyclic rate. It's crazy, man. So staying on that topic here, ABC reported this morning. Newly appointed U.S. attorney will attempt to charge James Comey despite prosecutors finding no probable cause. Prosecutors presented Lindsay Halligan with a detailed memo recommending that she decline to bring perjury and obstruction charges against Comey. Cite sources familiar with the memo. DOJ prosecutors failed to establish probable cause, and not only would they be unable to secure a conviction, but that they couldn't reach a significantly lower standard to even secure an indictment. Despite the recommendations, Halligan plans to present evidence to a grand jury before the statute of limitations expires next week. Now, Alpha, you can probably talk about this a little bit, but in the Eastern District of Virginia, that is in the heart of the intelligence, the law enforcement, federal law enforcement. Everybody there is on that train. And so I'm wondering, if this is kind of the U.S. attorney that was there previously before Halligan, if this is kind of the way to start rooting out the corruption that's existed in that particular office and kind of the allegiance to the intelligence community that they have, or at least the fear of prosecuting anybody having to do with law enforcement and intelligence, especially at that level.
One, a couple of things is absolutely. I agree with what you're saying, but people got to remember this too. And this is where they do got to do this with finesse on what charges specifically they come after him, because remember, he's part of Tulsi Gabbard's bigger, Russia hoax investigation. And there is no statute of limitations that starts counting so long as you have a criminal enterprise with ongoing crimes. So the Tuesday thing, I'm not so concerned with. I'm more concerned with what are they going to charge him with? Because if you charge him with that and it goes to trial in an area where we know they're corrupt and he's found, not guilty and acquitted from it, well, we are protected from double jeopardy, in this country. So I'm more looking to what exact charges are going to be on that indictment. I'm not too concerned with whether they follow through, and all that. And if they do follow through, then I'm more concerned with him not being found guilty if they're using charges that need to be utilized in the actual RICO case. Now, in that case, I would tell people still don't panic, because again, when does a bird sing? And if this guy's talking and he's cooperating and there's the understanding that he's probably not going to get convicted there anyways, it still doesn't mean that his statements can't be used as evidence in a RICO case. But I think we all want to see accountability had with them. And so we'll see. But I would tell people don't panic too much on this Tuesday deadline.
Yeah, I like that take. I couldn't care less. I mean, lying to Congress, if that's all you got, we still don't have the Crossfire Hurricane docs that were declassified in 2020 or 2021. We still don't have those documents. So if that is the one, hand me down that we're going to get, the one handout we're going to get is Comey for lying to Congress. Are you freaking kidding me? So yeah, I'm with you on that. And I do think it'll be a rug. I think a lot of people and watch the meltdown. You're going to see when that happens, man. When Comey doesn't get indicted, you're going to see people. He's not doing anything he was promised. Fire Bondi, fire Halligan, all this stuff. Just goose fraba, guys. Goose fraba. All right. From Politico, FBI says it found classified documents in John Bolton's D.C. office after executing the search warrant in his downtown office. They turned up documents marked classified. The inventory does not specify the number of classified documents, but lists several collections or folders that were labeled as confidential, with some marked secret. The heading on at least one set marked as confidential was redacted from the inventory. Bolton's Bethesda, Maryland home also reportedly contained no outward indication that it had classified information, but in both instances, agents reported seizing computers and other electronic devices that were not detailed in the search warrant or in the court filing. The search warrant application indicated that FBI agents were seeking evidence related to 3 felony charges, including gathering, transmitting, or losing national defense information. That's interesting. Losing national defense information in violation of the Espionage Act and retaining classified information without permission. Court filings indicate that investigators determined that Bolton's AOL email account was hacked by a foreign entity, although details of the alleged hack and how the U.S. became aware of it remain unclear. An attorney for Bolton, Abbe Lowell, Hunter's attorney and like everybody else's attorney in D.C., said the records were cleared for Bolton's use years ago, and many of them were more than 2 decades old. He did not address whether the documents had been marked as declassified, as is typical practice. So, let me ask you this, Alpha. If you were the national security advisor and you were privy to all the inner secrets of our government and what they're capable of and what federal other governments, foreign actors are capable of, would you use an AOL account for sending emails?
Not a remote chance, bro.
That is the most retarded thing I've ever heard. John Bolton was sending, in my opinion, he was sending classified stuff over AOL knowing that it was being intercepted. That is the transaction. Gives you plausible deniability. I didn't know I was hacked. I didn't know they were taking this information. That is so absurd to me. AOL. You've got mail. And so does all of Kyrgyzstan. So stupid. Let's see where we're gonna go next with this. Sorry, guys, bear with me for 2 seconds.
These people are so freaking corrupt. They wanted to destroy our country, man.
I know. This is gonna move. It's moving slow. I know it's not up to everybody's speed, but you can see the things starting to align. The exposure coming out. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
You know what they ingrained in our heads? Slow, smooth
is fast. Yep. All right, let's jump into this article here from the Gateway Pundit. Just in, judge refuses to reinstate 8 inspectors general fired by Trump after ripping into the lawyers and threatening sanctions. Federal judge on Wednesday refused to reinstate those inspector generals. Judge Anna Reyes, a Biden appointee, said President Trump violated the law by firing the inspectors general, but she has no authority to reinstate them. So it's like a win-loss or lose-win. So saying that he violated the law by firing him, but there's nothing she can do about it is kind of absurd to me. Quote, under well-established case law that this court is bound to follow, plaintiffs must show irreparable harm, and they cannot. Even assuming that the IGA comports with Article 2, plaintiffs' inability to perform their duties for 30 days is not irreparable harm. Moreover, if the inspectors general were reinstated, the president could lawfully remove them after 30 days by providing the required notice and rationale to Congress. The 8 fired inspectors general sued to get their jobs back and argued that Trump violated a law passed by Congress in 2022 that requires a U.S. president to notify Congress 30 days before firing an inspector general and to explain in detail the reason for the termination. Why do you think, like that, to me, that law is such an enabling law? Because, you know, inspectors general, they're supposed to be independent, right? And they basically investigate. They're the kind of chief oversight over an agency. So they're the ones that go in and weed out the corruption, prosecute the corruption, you know, all that kind of stuff. So why do you think Congress would pass a law giving them 30 days? And you remember when we did the interview with Stenstrom and the Marine Colonel talking about the IGs and what did they call them? The cabal or whatever. Why do you think that Congress would want to give them 30 days?
They can figure out a way to either save them or get a replacement because that's their cover.
Or, yeah, so that they can CYA, cover their ass. They need to go in there and make things disappear. They need to go in there and make sure, you know, all their T's are crossed and their I's are dotted. And yeah, I'm with you on that theory.
Here's the good thing about it. If you guys remember, and I know we've talked about it on Daily as well as Sit Rep, one of the things that I've been telling everybody, when you start to see these IGs and DAs and judges removed, that is because they're preparing for the arrests and the indictments. So
say that one more time.
When you start to see these people in the judicial, whether it's the IGs, the DAs, the judges, when these people start to get fired and removed, they're cleaning house because the investigations are going to come through that they need, that can't be compromised, to lead to the legitimate arrests and indictments that they need that can't be compromised. So this is a very important marker.
Yeah. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it's also much more difficult to subpoena people once they're out of the official role in the government. You know, once they become a private citizen, it's significantly harder to get information out of them. They just had one of the this guy here. This is another article I had up. Federal prosecutor Jeffrey Nestler, who put innocent oath keepers in prison for several years, is leaving the DOJ. And this was reported by Kyle Cheney at Politico. It looks like here.
You can't compel them to speak now.
Right, exactly. They can't be compelled here. Federal prosecutor Jeffrey Nestler, who helped put Stuart Rhodes and other Oath Keepers in prison, is leaving the DOJ, dropped off a handful of cases tonight, including this one against the man charged with murdering the Israeli embassy employee. So, interesting there. Go ahead. You can add more if you want.
I can't wait to see these. All these, these are the low-hanging fruit, and I want to see them arrested.
Agreed. So James O'Keefe put this out yesterday about this Glenn Prager, Jeffrey Epstein investigator at the DOJ, saying that, he made all these claims that Trump was never on the plane with the girls, but the other guys were, and there was rape going on there, and like these, alluding to all this stuff, but ultimately saying that Jeffrey Epstein is untouchable because he's CIA. And this is coming from an alleged Epstein investigator and all that. And then they had to pretty much walk all of it back because apparently the guy was just trying to impress a girl or something. The DOJ says in an official statement, this individual worked at the DOJ as a program analyst over 15 years ago. He has no understanding of or access to the underlying facts in this investigation. His statements should not be considered accurate. It is disgusting that someone would further exploit victims of sexual abuse by fabricating stories of their personal benefit. Any thoughts?
Exactly. You want to make $100,000 check really easy. Just call up one of the O'Keefe people and tell them you have a story and just that you provide credentials that you used to work for the government, and there you go. Because he ain't giving back that money that he got paid. And if you think he didn't get paid money, then yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he got paid. If you watch the video, he appears to be like on an airport or in an airport and was approached by somebody who noticed the FBI emblem on their bag, on his bag. And
bullshit.
I know. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Now, if I'm a media company and I want a story, but I can't deliberately put it out there because, I could be sued, I can have other people set up the situation to where people get paid and collect a check to do. All of a sudden, people notice a logo and ask questions. No, bullshit. People got paid.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you, man. Let's jump into this story.
At least in a plausible but unproven scenario.
Yeah. So this happens yesterday, ICE facility shooting. This is from the Daily Mail here. A sniper killed 2 migrants and wounded several others in a shooting at a Dallas Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility and has been identified as Joshua Jan, 29, Joshua John, J-A-H-N, 29. He's dead. The gunman targeted migrants on an unmarked transport van before killing them. John opened fire from the rooftop of a building adjacent to the ICE detention center. A third victim was in serious condition. So 2 dead, 1 in serious condition. The victims were ICE detainees. No law enforcement were injured in the shooting. Bullets found by the shooter's body were engraved with anti-ICE messages, according to Kash Patel. Shared an image on social media. You can see it right there. Witness Ariani Sierra said the shots began around 6:10 a.m. and there were like 20 shots in a row. We got the video or the picture here. What are you thinking on that? 7.62 by 39?
Yeah.
On a stripper clip?
Yep.
I mean, I guess it could, like, it's hard to get like a size comparison, like, put a dollar bill in there or something so we have some relevancy on the size of it. But to me, it looks like 7.62 by 39, although it could be 308. Although that bullet looks pretty long. Maybe not. I don't know. This is a weird story.
It is.
Well, you tell me first why you think it's weird, and then I'll tell you why I think it's weird.
I'm trying to get some more info on the position of the exact position of the van in relation to the shooter, because here's the thing, and everything's got to be possible, and so Occam's razor, guy saw a border patrol van, doesn't understand that transport vans don't always have bars on the windows and say transport on the side or something like that. So is it possible this guy just thought it was a van full of BP agents and that's why he just started firing into the passenger compartment? Yeah, that's possible. Now, if I'm going to target, in hypothetical situation, a BP van, well, first person I'm aiming for is the driver. because I want to immobilize the vehicle. So then I can start to take out. And also, the two easiest targets to hit is the driver and front passenger. That's the two easiest ones. Assuming, like I said, that's why the position of the van, I'm not just going off photos, but the position of the van is relevant to this. So if that's the case, and I'm correct when I start to learn more about the position of this van, why wouldn't you take the easiest shot? Now I want to know who were these illegals that were killed, and I want the background into these guys.
You're on the same page as me.
And
you don't put anti-ICE messaging on your rounds and then kill migrants. And like you said, the easiest two people to hit are the driver and the passenger, because A, you immobilize the van, and B, that they're ICE agents or ICE employees.
And those windows aren't the tinted windows.
Right.
It's the biggest window. It's the easiest shot to take.
Yep. I'm with you. It is strange. And we instantly got the bullets. We still don't even know what Tyler Robinson's bullets look like. We just know what they say. They don't have any pictures of them out there. We'll talk more about all of this tonight on Sit Rep. So it'll be a fun show. And then this is probably my favorite story of the whole entire day. By far, this is awesome. We do not deserve this man. We do not deserve this man, folks. For those that are only listening, this is the Hall of Presidents at the White House, where they have all the photographs, the portraits of the presidents. And as you get from 45 to 46, quote unquote 46, it is the auto pen, a picture of the auto pen signing Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. Name. Love it. We don't deserve him, man.
He's a savage, bro.
He is so fucking savage,
bro. I am curious. Why did he decide at Bill Clinton to start stepping them up?
Did he? Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me go back.
Everything's level horizontal. And I believe it's at, if I remember correctly, at Bill Clinton, he starts to make them, step up. I don't think this man does things like that without meaning. I don't know. We have some brilliant artists in the audience. Put it on the screen so everybody can see what I'm talking about.
Hold on. I gotta find it again because Margot Martin posts a shitload of stuff.
She's awesome.
All right, here it is. Oh yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, it's slowly going higher too, like stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting. It's slowly stepping up. You know what else was really interesting, Alpha?
What?
Tell me what you make of this. I've never seen this before. I think Josh posted that last night and thought that was fascinating. The silent drill team just randomly shows up at the White House to perform drills out front.
It's so okay. Now I know he was trying to get a hold of me. So I'll tell you offline. I don't want to say on air, but those we'll just talk offline.
Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, here we go. We got him again.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. We appreciate the opportunity. Well, it's my honor. You're great people. They're all good, aren't they? Wonderful. Yes.
Very interesting. Give them a little challenge coin there, most likely.
Yep.
All right, so that is going to wrap up the show. We do have some, I think we have some Rumble rants. I think I saw a few come in, so let's go ahead and get to those. Oh yeah, we got a lot. There we go. D Anderson 24 Alpha is on time. Yes, he is. He was early. I did request it, and I think we've put that lateness behind us, and I think we're going to start fresh.
To that point, on shows that I do now, even if it's on my own channel, if I'm delayed on it, everybody wants to blame me. I'm just like, wait, it's not always me, folks.
It's always you. It's always you. You're always the late one.
Propaganda.
I've not once been late on Daily in 3 years. I've not once been late. All right, let's keep going. Vera Barrow 1, off topic, but I want to say God bless to all my American friends who lent their support in helping to stop the cull of the 400 BC ostriches by our corrupt government. Fight's not over. Whoa, what does BC mean? British Columbia?
No, before Christ.
400 BC ostriches? I know what BC, I mean, I know what that means.
Gotcha. Oh, maybe it is British Columbia because that's where the ostrich thing was going down in Canada.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. Glad to hear that we stopped that. We shouldn't kill ostriches, bro. Like
Viva reported that too. He was actually helping out a lot with that, getting the word out.
Hell yeah, we should have more ostriches. Their eggs are like the richest source of protein and nutrients ever. Have you ever had an ostrich egg?
I have not. Are you familiar kind of with the basics of that story?
No.
So it's actually pretty interesting, and RFK ended up sending a letter in this. So you have these. I didn't realize how many. I knew it was a lot. I didn't know it was 400. But you have all these ostriches that some of them ended up catching the quote unquote the bird flu, but the ostriches were able to develop an immunity to it. And so now they want to take them down. Now they've survived that window of expectation of when to survive it. And they're ordering them to immediately be killed. And these ostriches they're literally pets. They all have names. They've been a part of this family forever. I think over 20 years on some of them. And so RFK ended up sending a letter out saying, hey, we should be studying these animals and all this because of the immunity they develop. And so Viva Frey and a bunch of other people, a lot of people on X got behind putting this story out there. So, it's not just, keeping ostriches alive. There's what I would imagine, some big pharma stuff.
Yeah, they don't want you to study and get the cure. They want to keep culling the herds and the flocks, I should say. All right, Smoke with a Q. Alpha digging your show with Josh. Josh is OG Anon. Is an OG Anon. Good to see him getting his word out. Dude is brilliant. I look forward to sit rep with you two tonight. What's the subject tonight? We've got a lot of different subjects, and I'm going to have to dig more into this Hegseth thing. Your show was featured on Tuesday and was kicking ass, bro. I was watching in the background. I couldn't watch and tune in, but I think you guys peaked at 22,000, somewhere around there.
28,000, bro.
28,000. That is awesome, man. Congratulations. I wish I had a show. Well, so you can't get featured unless you're on studio. So this show's on studio. DPH is on studio. Rumble hasn't yet given us a way that we can do all of our shows on studio. So this one's in studio. It gets featured sometimes, never gets the main feature. It's always some retard. I don't even know. But DPH gets featured, and now you guys going with studio will get featured. I think tonight we're doing sit rep on studio, so maybe we'll get featured on sit rep. So we got to put together a stellar show. But yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm so proud of you guys. It's badass.
Dude, it was one of those things where it's the title doesn't hide the content that we're talking about, and I'll tell you what, it's generated some attention because we've been getting some interesting follows from people
I know. I heard about that too. We were talking about that. Maybe we'll have to get Josh on tonight. If we're gonna,
that'd be fun. I could hit him up.
Yeah, hit him up. See if he wants to come on tonight. Dig in you 67. The doctor is saying childhood vaccines can also be cause the same effects as Tylenol. Yeah, and I think what the meme that Alpha was alluding to that we pulled up from Dr. Peter McCullough lays it out perfect. I mean, it's how it works.
I really hope people screenshotted that. I really do.
I shared the link in the chat, so hopefully they saw that too. Mad Mr. Fox Alpha, I have the OG Illuminati card game. I've had it for about 15 years.
Would you mind parting with that for a few weeks, and it would be returned in order for me to go through and scan every single one of those things? If so, reach out to me. Let's connect.
All right. Digging U67, could you please post a link to the video of the doctor talking about Tylenol and injection? I did that as well. Christine Lee, the vitamin K is a shot. The eye stuff is an antibiotic. Definitely not needed. None of it.
Well, to that, so if there's any potential new parents in the audience, and I forget what it is, hopefully somebody in the chat will let me know. When the baby comes out, there's all this stuff. It reminds me of the stuff on an orange peel. After you peel an orange, that like whitish material that's still in the orange we always clean off. When the baby comes out, it has all this stuff on there. And so what I learned in my research, especially like within the Indian culture and stuff like that, is one, keep the baby on the umbilical cord for quite some time while they're on mom, and leave that stuff on the baby. It actually helps with the immune system of the baby. And a lot of the old school doctors used to, and recently they try to clean the baby right away. And so, I made a note to make it, to mention to them. And they actually said, yeah, we do that here, which I was like, oh, okay, cool. But for those, potential parents, keep the baby on the umbilical cord for a little bit and keep that stuff on the baby for a little bit. It'll help your baby's health.
There you go. My base game is 2014 first edition, 13th printing. I also have expansions Y2K 2012 first edition, 6th print, and Bavarian Fire Drill first edition, 2nd print. There you go. You got your source right there. KH Jacobs, had my babies in 1998 and 2003. I gave it after vaccination because they told me they could get a high fever. My kids don't have autism, but I had motor issues and a learning disability and IBS. Damn. My mom was a NICU nurse, NICU, neonatal intensive care nurse, and I'd be curious to ask her, what she did for me and my sister when we were kids and we got sick like that, or babies.
Well, luckily we didn't have as many as they do now, so that's also a big difference as well. Just to let everybody know what kind of set me down that path, bro, and I'll make it very, very fast, because I was still very new to waking up, when it came to the vaccines and all this stuff. But what got me looking at this was not vaccines. I was curious about SIDS, something that came across my desk on SIDS, and I wanted to know more about it. So I wanted to look up what country has the lowest SIDS rate, and it was China. And so I said, well, what country has the highest? It's the freaking US. And so I said, I want to know the difference. So in most parts of China, they don't even start vaccines until 2 years old, and it's one at a time. And so that immediately got me into the window of, okay, well, I'm not even going to start vaccines until my little one turns 2. So I have at least 2 more years, 2 more years plus to continue to research. And obviously in that research, I ultimately came to, no, I'll never do it. But just so people,
I'm being facetious when I say that.
All
right.
In COVID, we were giving infants remdesivir.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Newborn babies were being given remdesivir during COVID.
I hadn't heard that.
Let me see if I can find some of the headlines for you.
Holy crap. All right, real quick, because we got to get out of here. Chippery21 says Michigan absentee ballot received today without requesting it. Not cool. Shoot me an email, Chippery, Canncon@canncon.net. I know Patty McMurray and her team are working diligently right now on all the files they just got from Michigan. So if you can, shoot me an email on that. CNS 1000, please post links in the description. We can't see the chat if we're not watching live. There's always links in the description. Oh, so that, dude, that would take me an extra like hour to put all the links for the articles and stuff that we share. Sometimes I put them in the chat. It would be way too difficult. And I don't make enough money here to pay like a producer or somebody to, do all that stuff. Brad and Jessica and the rest of them do a ton of that. It's in the description, the links for our sponsors and stuff, but to put every article in there would just be a nightmare. All right, did you find it? We got to get out of here.
I found one doctor posting about it, but I was trying to find like a mainstream headline. I'll find it and we can show it tonight.
Okay.
But yeah, it was gnarly, bro.
All right, so smash that thumbs up. I'm actually going to do something I never do because Gordon requested it, and I am going to do it and raid the Trump speech and meeting with Erdogan over on the president of Turkey over on Badlands Media, and I would recommend watching it. Gordon seems to think that it's going to be interesting, and so if Gordon thinks it's going to be interesting, I think it's going to be interesting, and therefore the raid is underway. Confirm raid. Sorry, guys, for all of you guys that are on, whatever. We'll see you guys later. Thank you. Tune in to Sit Rep tonight at 9 p.m. and God bless.
Deodorant should do more than cover you up. It should protect you all day long.
Dude, the deodorant stick is legit. I like the mint one. And, you go work out and you kind of get like, you get funky if you work out. Dude, like at the end of my workout, like I'm sweating, shirt got all those sweat. Like I'm like, dude, I still smell good. Like I absolutely love it. If you guys haven't tried it, try it.
That's the difference with Soft Disclosure. No aluminum, no chemicals, just clean, natural ingredients that fight odor and keep you fresh through every workout, every meeting, every moment.
I've always struggled with the you can't use aluminum deodorant because you're going to die if you use it kind of thing, because all of the non-aluminum deodorant products suck pretty much. Yeah. This is different. This is all day. You're all day good, and you're not putting any of that disgusting chemicals right near your lymph nodes.
Soft Disclosure deodorant, real protection, real freshness, built on truth. Available in mint and lemon grapefruit. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code Badlands for 15% off.